Thursday is how Friday says, hang on, you're almost there. It's almost the weekend and we are all quite excited. However, let us not let all that excitement deter us from remaining focused on all the goals we've set out to achieve before the end of the week. Happy Thursday. I'm Theodore Henry and you are inside Jamaica Magazine. In today's show, we'll get a recap of what came out of the Ministry of Science, Energy and Technology in 2022. We've also put together some much-needed information on farming and food production. You don't want to miss it.
For the light manufacturing and the mini warehouses.
It will create more jobs for people in St. Ann and other adjoining areas.
Three in 3. Join us on January 2023 inside the pages of Jamaica Magazine for an exciting review of the Ministry of Transport and Mining in 2022.
This sector is a pivotal plank for economic growth.
Good day, I'm Stephen McHugh, and this is your JIS News for Thursday, January 19, 2023. The Financial Services Commission, FSC, has committed to making full public disclosure of the outcome of investigations and other interventions into reports of alleged fraud at investment firm Stocks and Securities Limited, SSL. Executive Director Everton McFarlane gave this undertaking during a press conference yesterday. Mr. McFarlane says the FSC has taken several steps to address the matter, which was first reported by SSL on January 10 and the receipt of an independent report on January 11. Measures taken include contacting law enforcement agencies with relevant jurisdiction to determine an appropriate response, and issuing directions restraining SSL from conducting transactions on its own behalf or that of clients without the FSC's approval.
The response was aimed at providing the FSC with a mechanism to have daily and indeed intra-daily insight into the affairs of the entity, which would assist us and the entity in managing itself concurrent with the investigations.
The agency also initiated steps to procure the services of a special auditor, Ken Tomlinson, to act as temporary manager for SSL on January 17. Mr. McFarlane says a wide-scale investigation is also ongoing, which is spearheaded by the Financial Investigations Division.
The FSC will continue to collaborate as necessary with law enforcement in this regard. And in addition, the work of the temporary manager will be proceeding to enable the FSC to determine a suitable plan of action to continue to protect the interests of all clients of the entity, while also overseeing the day-to-day affairs of the entity to address current client needs in an orderly and fair way.
In the meantime, the Bank of Jamaica BOJ says it's working with deposit-taking institutions to upgrade and strengthen their internal controls. This, it says, will heighten the sector's ability to detect and prevent fraud. The BOJ also pledged to continue its close monitoring of the financial sector to ensure soundness and stability in the island's financial system. In a release, the central bank expressed concern on alleged fraud involving financial institutions. According to the BOJ, it's worried that these developments have the potential to negatively affect confidence in the country's financial system. The BOJ says it maintains a rigorous regulatory oversight of the deposit-taking institutions it supervises, which are commercial banks, building societies, and the country's sole merchant bank. The rate of inflation for December 2022 decreased by 0.9 percentage points to 9.4% when compared to November 2022. The figures were released by the Statistical Institute of Jamaica, Statin, during its virtual quarterly media briefing on Tuesday. Director General Carol Coy says the December 2022 Consumer Price Index, CPI, recorded a slight decline, coming out at 127.9 compared to 128 for the previous month.
This movement was mainly influenced by a 1% decline in the index for the heaviest weighted division, food and non-alcoholic beverages, and a 0.9% fall in the index for the transport division.
The inflation rate, according to Statin, was however tempered by increases in the index for restaurants and accommodation services, which went up by 3.4%.
And this was mainly impacted by increased prices for meals consumed away from home, and housing, water, electricity, gas, and other fuels up by 0.7%, due mainly to increases in the rates for electricity, water, and sewage.
Ms. Coy says the December 2022 inflation rate represents an increase on the outturn recorded 12 months earlier. Statin advises that the 2022-23 fiscal year-to-date inflation rate is 6.2%. Meanwhile, Statin is reporting that most of the administrative process-related issues affecting the 2022 population and housing census's initial phase have been resolved. The census commenced last September and was slated for completion within 3 months. The exercise was, however, extended into the first quarter of this year to ensure maximum coverage of the Jamaican population and is now scheduled to conclude in March. Director General Carol Coy says one of the issues being addressed is the recruitment of census takers. Statin targeted the recruitment of some 7,000 field officers. However, approximately 4,800 are currently engaged. Further to this, Ms. Coy says several census takers have also opted out of the job for varying reasons.
Statin is therefore redoubling its efforts with targeted recruitment, training, and onboarding of census takers in specific communities that currently have shortfalls, as we seek to identify candidates that are best suited to perform the tasks required until everyone is counted. To support the continuation of the census, Statin will also increase the census communication awareness campaign to remind persons about the importance of the census and to encourage everyone to participate.
Statin says it will continue to work with various groups, including community associations, justices of the peace, municipal corporations, strata bodies, faith-based communities, and private sector organizations. This is to ensure maximum participation of citizens. Farmers in 6 high-producing parishes will now have access to tractor services to improve operations on their farms. The Rural Agricultural Development Authority, RADA, on Tuesday received 6 new farm tractors valued at over $49 million from the Ministry of Agriculture. They will serve parishes such as St. Thomas, St. Anne, St. Elizabeth, Clarendon, Manchester, and St. Catherine. Portfolio Minister Pernell Charles Jr. says the tractors will be available to RADA registered farmers at a discounted rate.
Providing the farmers with equipment like these rubber wheel tractors is not a luxury, it is a necessity, because food security is a priority for every single Jamaican.
Minister Charles advised farmers to use due diligence when using the services provided and to do their preliminary basic land preparation before using the tractor service.
I am reliably informed, Jamaica, that our onion farmers of Yallas and Plantain Garden River in St. Thomas will be benefiting. I'm informed that the Irish potato farmers in Guys Hill, St. Catherine, with Miss Ruth Barrett, will be benefiting. St. Anne as well. Farmers in the vegetable production belt of Bog Hole in Clarendon, all are among those who will be welcoming this equipment.
And finally, local businesses across various sectors will be exposed to new buyers in the Guyanese market as part of the second ministerial trade mission to the country. The mission, which will be led by the Minister of Industry, Investment and Commerce, Senator Aubin Hill, is scheduled to take place from January 23 to 28. Minister Hill said the delegation comprises over 45 companies and 60 individuals, including public and private sector companies. At a recent JIS think tank, the minister said the entities range from construction, technology, hospitality, banking, and financial, among others.
We're going back to make sure we cement those original arrangements that we made. Guyana and Jamaica will build a very, and I believe, formidable business and commercial and even broader political arrangements.
The mission follows the one made in October 2022. Acting President of Jamaica Promotions Corporation, JAMPRO, Shalette Cox, says a few companies that participated in that mission are already realizing success.
There are also companies that went on the first mission that are busily making inroads with their partners in Guyana and that have made several trips to Guyana since then. And I know that a few of those companies have some announcements to make in the coming months.
The upcoming trade mission aims to establish more business relationships between Jamaica and Guyana, as well as to secure export contracts in both goods and services. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Stephen McHugh. Thanks for watching.
Read a book for the higher education. Read a book, oh what a sensation. Read a book.
2022 was a very productive year for the Ministry of Science, Energy and Technology. Catch the highlights next.
The bandwidth of the Ministry of Science, Energy and Technology had an extensive reach in 2022. Its frequencies traveled further across the island, making critical Wi-Fi connections, boosting the energy sector, and aiding human capital development. This is the 2022 year in review. In a landmark move, Cabinet approved the strategic framework for electric mobility, which will guide the introduction of electric vehicles in Jamaica. The Government Electrical Regulator, GER, was operationalized to provide the public with more licensed private electrical inspectors. A consultant was engaged by the ministry to review and update the 2009 to 2030 National Energy Policy, and the House of Representatives approved the Electricity Net Billing Regulations 2022, which is set to provide opportunities for fuel diversification and renewable energy sources.
As Jamaica considers the problems of energy supply, global warming, and our national climate goals, the passing of these regulations is critical.
The ministry entered a partnership with Flow to increase internet access across 1,500 rural households under the JUMP initiative. Similarly, through a grant agreement with the United States Trade and Development Agency, Jamaica's emergency communication system was boosted. The newly renovated Central Sorting Office was reopened, and a consultant was identified to assist in modernizing and redefining how the Post and Telecommunications Department operates. A 2021 Toyota Hiace bus was handed over to the National Works Agency by the ministry to transport technicians who will install fiber optic cables across the country. The ministry ramped up its quest to build a digital society through improved internet access. Major strides were made in its public Wi-Fi, national broadband, community Wi-Fi hotspot, and community access points programs.
At this ministry, we take particular interest in connecting rural communities to ensure that no one is left behind.
Another area of focus for the ministry in 2022 was human capital development. Approximately 20 young persons benefited from the Classroom to Real-World Mentorship Workshop, which aims to connect science students with professionals in the industry worldwide. Students from 27 high schools benefited from the ICT Clubs initiative, which seeks to strengthen the integration of technology in learning. The National School Science and Technology Society program, also known as Science Club, was revitalized and refreshed through the efforts of the Scientific Research Council. And 9 Jamaican women who have been making significant strides in developing the country's science and technology industry were rewarded.
This government, through the Ministry of Science, Energy and Technology, is committed to the development and advancement of science and its related fields.
Water is precious. So we encourage everyone to practice the 4 R's of water conservation. Always remember to reduce your use of water wherever possible. Replace water wasting devices with water savings devices. Reuse water wherever possible. And wherever leaks are found, please repair them and repair them quickly.
Don't delay. Practice the 4 R's of water conservation today.
Getting her hands dirty? This farmer had no problem in putting in the work required to start her family business from the ground up. See what I did there? Let's see who this week's female face of farming is.
Women does everything, and farming is no different. Yes, it's a little bit hot and it's a little bit messy and you get your hands dirty and all of that. But, you know, old time people said if you want good, your nose have to run.
These are the remarks of our female farmer, Elaine Sadler, a lady who recognizes that effort pays dividends and having family support makes the job easier.
I grew up seeing my parents doing this basically all their lives. They were farmers and shopkeepers, and so I think from an early stage that would have been in us.
Elaine decided to fulfill her destiny by starting a family-owned business in order to preserve her parents' legacy. Like most journeys, it started out with trials and errors.
When I just started here, I would have planted about 5 acres of cantaloupe and yellow squash at the time. And I remember we had trucks and trucks and truckloads of these produce, but we did not have market at the time. I was young in the business at the time, and maybe I did not do my research well to find the market before, and that was a major, major problem.
The farming road was a rugged one.
Farm roads is usually a problem for any farmer in Jamaica, I think, and we have been having this problem now for many, many years.
But Elaine is a lady with a strong will to see things through to completion.
We didn't allow that to deter us anyways. So as it is right now, I would not say I'm having major problems because I am supplying to my own business, and that is excellent.
With the intention of creating a family business, Elaine enlisted her brother's help in running the farm.
I could not again do it on my own. I manage 5 acres of this land here, owner and manager of 5 acres for myself. But we spoke about 15 to 20 acres and he's involved in that, the rest of it. So it's a family-owned business similarly to my restaurant.
First, I must say I have a very good sister, somebody who loves to incorporate family. And she was always looking out for us to have something that we are in charge of. And that's mainly it. My daily work is to see to it that everything goes as it's supposed to be. Scout the field so that we have proper sanitation for weeds, pests, fungicide, fungus, and for fertilization. I must see to that.
Being in the industry for about 20 years, Elaine has learned a thing or two about crop rotation.
Usually we have to rotate our crops as we are directed by RAD and those people who guide us and help us. It is not wise to plant the same thing over and over and over. And so we would have been doing several things here over time. I planted onions and it was beautiful. We had a wonderful crop. But we could not do that again. So most of this land that you see, we are now preparing them again to plant something different.
And to safeguard the yield.
You have to monitor the crops all the time to see if and when they need spraying, and we use all the recommended pesticides and herbicides, working with RADA and the experience of my team and manager here. So they know exactly what to use to get rid of fungus and pests.
Despite having a busy schedule, Elaine still finds time to help her neighborhood by utilizing her car to deliver the items to her neighbors while also making additional investments.
I think being able to just purchase the stuff that the people grow in this community is of great help, because we basically buy from the farmers in this community.
This begs the question, should women think about farming as a realistic career option?
Certainly, why not?
So I would definitely encourage any young miss to do it.
Now is the time to really get into farming. I think it's a perfect time. And farming is not what it used to be back in the days when my parents used to be in the broiling sun all day in their boots with a little hat and sun and, you know, digging. Now we have tractors and stuff that does our plowing and all of that on the farm. So it makes it a little easier, and it makes it easier for women to manage a farm.
You too may become a part of the effort to develop a sustainable agriculture system just like Elaine did, whether it be in farming, food processing, distribution, or waste management. It's the call for Jamaicans to regenerate our productivity.
We just saw part of what it requires to run and operate a large-scale farm. Here now is a feature on how to safely store the food we've produced.
The Food Storage and Prevention of Infestation Division is mandated to ensure the wholesomeness of food entering commerce. So it's a division that is geared towards food safety. And to do that, we have an inspectorate unit, that is our frontline unit, that would go to the various points of entry, to anywhere that stores food. So we have inspectors stationed at the ports of entry, at supermarkets, warehouses. We check containers. Inspectors are almost anywhere where food is stored.
The Food Storage and Prevention of Infestation Division has been accredited to the ISO 17020 standard, which certifies their competence in doing food and field inspection in premises, containers, and on ships.
We also do breeding for schools and universities. So yes, we do that with the rats. We actually do trapping as well. We go out into the field and we do trapping. So at various locations, we'll take some designated rat traps and we go out and we would trap rats and we breed them in-house.
The division also comprises of a rodent biology and control unit where they conduct efficacy testing to see how effective rodenticides are on the rats.
There are some myths floating around with rats and how to keep rats away. And one of the myths is that you have to spice up the poison for them to eat it and to die, which isn't really so. It's best not to add things like gravy or other foodstuff to the poison. What you want the rat to do is to eat as much of the poison as possible.
Another myth is that by using select rodenticides, you will not be able to smell the rat once it dies.
The smell of the rat has to do with really how the time at which it dies and how far it is from where you thought it died. Another myth is that the rats can't climb on wires. Some of us would really see that, you know, they can climb on wires. You can see them on utility wires. Another myth is that if a rat bites your fruit, for example a mango, you can cut off that bitten portion and eat the rest. No, it's best to discard it and best not to eat it, because if the rat has eaten part of it, they could mess on the rest of the fruit, so you wouldn't want that. So if you have a fruit that is bitten by rats, best to discard it.
In addition to the Rodent Biology and Control Unit, the Food Storage and Prevention of Infestation Division also has other testing laboratories such as the Pesticide, Residue and Microtoxin Unit, a Microbiology Unit, and an Entomology Unit. For more information on the Food Storage and Prevention of Infestation Division, an entity under the Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries, visit or call them at their offices at 15 Gordon Road in Kingston or 30 to 34 Market Street, Montego Bay, St. James.
Effective customer service is important in all government entities that provide services to the public. The most basic customer interaction can affect an organization's reputation and their customer relationships. Here are 7 elements of service excellence that will improve your service delivery. Timeliness and effectiveness. Service providers must provide prompt and accurate service in a timely manner. Effective communication. Appropriate channels should be provided to make information readily accessible and collect customer feedback. Proficiency and competency. Service providers must have the relevant technical expertise and customer service skills to satisfy the customer's needs. Responsiveness. Service providers must be quick to adapt and adopt changes to improve service to customers. Customer and people-centric. Service providers must identify and respond to the needs of their customers, whether through technological or environmental changes. Professionalism. The acceptable behaviors and attitudes that form the culture of the organization should include respect and courtesy to all customers. Service standards. Government-wide standards should be developed by the public sector and applied to each ministry, department, or agency for which the organization should be held accountable. All government entities should use the Service Excellence Policy to guide service delivery and establish a culture of service excellence in the public sector. To access the Service Excellence Policy, please visit the Public Sector Modernization Division's website today.
This is where our journey ends, but only for today. Join us again tomorrow when we bring you another informative program. In the meantime, stay connected via our website, jis.gov.jm. And while you're online, send your feedback to Jamaica Magazine at jis.gov.jm. On behalf of the production crew, I'm Theodore Henry. Take care.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.